before you go on any trips away this year, you absolutely need to get this app. I travel all the time, and multiple times, me and the lads have been stung with massive phone bills. You think you're texting on the hotel Wi-Fi, before you know it, you get the phone bill. What was I doing? And it's not just that. Just getting signal when you're away is an absolute nightmare. And this is why I use Saily for just the price of a coffee. Saily will keep you connected wherever you are, so you don't have to hop from hotel Wi-Fi to restaurant Wi-Fi. You're literally going to have the best connection no matter where you are. And it's cheap, so you're not going to get that big phone bill. Honestly, it's a no-brainer. All you have to do is click the link in the description below, install your eSIM, and when you land, boom, you're in business. And every time I've used it, I've had a better connection in the hotel Wi-Fi. I can watch live streams. I can download movies. It's brilliant. When I went to Vegas, this was an absolute lifesaver. And the best bit is there's a 15% discount when you use my link in the description below. Even if you're not traveling till later in the year, I know you might forget. So do it now because this will come in handy. Just go to saily.com/payinggame and you can get 15% off. Do it now. Don't wait until you land and then you regret not doing it in advance because this is a game changer.
Where's Conor Benn? Hey, Conor Benn, we can get it banging, boy. We can get it banging, boy. I want that same rehydration clause that you put on Eubank Jr., and I want to fight.
I love how fast Conor Benn gets in the ring. Like, he called him out about 5 seconds ago, and he's in the ring. And I love how Conor Benn's gone from a UK fighter that America didn't even know to now their stars are calling him out. They're begging for him to fight them.
Oh, you're too small for me. You're tiny. You're tiny, bro. You're tiny, bro.
My skill.
I appreciate you've got to talk trash, but Shakur Stevenson doesn't really look any smaller than Conor Benn right now. Maybe try something else.
It's too much.
You can't punch.
Okay.
You can't keep me off you.
Okay.
I'll rough you up.
We gonna see.
I'll pull you down. I'll
Sign
pull
the
you
contract.
down.
Sign the contract. Let's make it happen.
Hey, Turkey, let's get this fight
Yeah.
done. We can do it next.
Yeah, you don't scare me.
You think I'm scared
not
of you?
scared of you.
You think I'm scared of you?
Let's make it happen.
You think I'm
Let's
scared
make it
of you?
happen.
You
Let's
can't
make it
box
happen.
shit, man.
Let's make it happen.
I'm not scared of you,
Let's
bro.
make it happen. We don't even gotta keep talking.
Okay. So let's pause that there for a second because a big shift took place in boxing this weekend. And I'm not talking about Big Baby Miller's hair. Nah, I actually do need to acknowledge this though. Like, fucking... He punched his fucking wig off, man. Boxing's the best sport in the world. How are you gonna fucking turn up to a boxing match knowing they're gonna punch you in the head with a wig on? And the maddest thing is, he used to literally show off his haircuts online, like being like, got a fresh trim. It was bad enough when you lied about being on PEDs against Anthony Joshua, but this is a betrayal. I'm fine with the steroids. Just don't fucking tell me you've got hair and then you don't have it. Who are you anymore? Forget it. So Shakur Stevenson has announced himself on the biggest stage of his career as a future pound for pound king. If not, a lot of people are saying he's already pound for pound number one. And I'm going to get into how good that performance was. But the first thing he does after that is call out Conor Benn. And when you've just won a fight that a lot of people had like a 50-50 matchup, and you don't sit there and pat yourself on the back, you're immediately looking for the next guy. That says everything about the state of mind that Shakur Stevenson is in right now. He's a man on a mission. And look, Conor Benn is coming off the back of this win against Eubank Jr. and has crazy momentum right now. Like the hype around Conor Benn is huge. He's one of the biggest stars in British boxing. So his next fight, it's really important he makes the right decision. And after that call out at the weekend and the fights he's been looking at recently, it feels very clear that he has got two choices for his next fight. Shakur Stevenson or Ryan Garcia.
Yeah, that's what they all say, but somehow I find the target every time.
Don't be talking shit in my city.
No, I'm serious. I'm serious. Come on now. Come on now.
Talking shit in my city.
You know how it is.
That went south very quickly. Conor Benn was ready to fucking go and fight this guy at the Ring Awards. And if Conor gets a win over either of these guys, and we'll debate on how likely that is in a minute, but it would turn him into not just a UK star, but a global boxing star. On the flip side, if you get beaten and beaten badly, all of the hype, all of the momentum behind Conor Benn, it goes to rat shit. So let's talk about the last fights of Shakur Stevenson and Ryan Garcia and figure out what the fuck should Conor Benn do next. Now, to figure out how good of a win this was for Shakur Stevenson, you've really got to contemplate how good Teofimo Lopez is as a fighter. And after this fight, a lot of people say he's trash, he's shit, he's washed. The reality was he had wins against Josh Taylor and Lomachenko. He is a very good fighter. He was just made to look ordinary. The distance control and the position control here from Shakur Stevenson, it was absolutely genius. He got his lead foot on the outside time and time again. And then when Teo did need to lunge in, he would use his feet to get out the way. Or he would dip back at the waist, as he's doing right there, and then pop his jab right in the face of Teofimo Lopez. Teofimo Lopez had nothing for him, and that's saying a lot. This is a guy who's a multiple weight world champion. I think he held 2 belts at the time of the fight. A lot of people thought Shakur Stevenson would win this fight, but we thought we'd see at least a few rounds that might be competitive. This wasn't competitive. It was easy. How the fuck do you really hit home how mad that is? He looked like Floyd Mayweather. That's the biggest compliment I can give him. It looked like there was a guy in there who was a professional and a guy in there who was an amateur. But he wasn't an amateur. He'd won multiple world titles, but he was made to look like he didn't have a fucking clue what to do with him. I've seen this jab compilation. I just want to make a point of showing this, that this jab is a piston, right? It is lightning. And unfortunately for Teofimo Lopez, like, he can't just ignore that and just keep coming forward, which is probably what, you know, some crazy bastard's going to have to do in order to give Shakur Stevenson any trouble. It disabled him. It paralyzed him. It froze him. And look at that. I mean, he was getting taken apart, and it was all off that lead hand. He didn't have a clue. And it must be fucking annoying in there, because when you're in a situation where someone's that technically better than you really need them to take a risk or make a mistake. He doesn't do that. And it's very different to how Devin Haney's defensive. Devin Haney uses his legs and he runs the minute he feels he's in any danger at all. Shakur Stevenson didn't do that. He was very much in the center of the ring. He's just so good that he doesn't need to run. He just takes a tiny little step back and makes you miss by an inch, or you lean back at the waist and fucking smash you one right in the face. That was like grandmaster levels of boxing. It was so one-sided. It was very obvious at the end of round 2, round 3. You don't have a fucking answer for this guy. You don't have a clue. You normally see frustration when there's a technical gap between fighters. It kicks in later in the fight and you see them getting annoyed. It was there within minutes of stepping in the ring together. Shakur's going back to his corner with a big smile on his face like, I got this guy. This is over already. It blew my mind. I expected the decision win for Stevenson. I didn't expect him to take him to school so badly. This is round 10, right? And Teo's busted up and that fucking, you know, the eyes bleeding there, and look, he's just got nothing, man. He's got nothing. And he took his jab away from him as well. I forgot to even mention that. He used like Terence Crawford level skill to just totally dismantle his jab and make it pointless even throwing it. Because his lead hand was just out there punishing him time and time and time again. He landed 15% of the shots he threw. He landed 44%. To move up a weight, to win your 4th different weight class belt and fight a guy who's the number 1 guy in that weight class and him not even belong in the ring with you. It's unheard of, isn't it? That's unheard of. It was sad, actually. There was a point where Teofimo goes back to the corner and his dad is like screaming at him like, you gotta hit him, and I'm like, is this the best you've got? This is terrible. He had them panicked in the corner like when Usyk fought Fury. It was that level of like, what the fuck do we do here? And I think he broke Teofimo Lopez mentally.
I think that I get butchered, and I think God punishes me a lot for it, so I'm just a punching bag to that. So one day I'll get, maybe one day.
That's a really worrying thing to come out with for a fighter, sort of like blaming God. Blame your dad. Get a new trainer. There's a start. And then you contrast that with what Shakur Stevenson was saying after the fight.
I thought he was fast, he was slow.
He really was, compared to Shakur, to be fair. He was a step ahead and then some. And the craziest thing about it is there's no way that was Shakur Stevenson fighting at 100%. He was in 2nd gear, 3rd gear maybe. He wasn't flat out, pedal to the metal, trying to get this guy out of there. That was him fighting comfortably. Which begs the question why Conor Benn is like, yeah, fuck it, make the fight next, make it next. I'm like, are you sure? And look, I'm trying to rack my brains as to what kind of fighter could give Shakur Stevenson problems. For one, I think Shakur really judges the way people throw punches unbelievably well. Every little twitch he is absolutely like aware of, and he is predicting your every second in that fight. So you got to be unpredictable, right? You got to feint a lot. Now, Conor Benn does feint a lot. To be fair, he did a lot of that against Chris Eubank Jr. I thought Teofimo Lopez headhunted too much and he didn't have a lot of power on his body shots when he did throw them. So I think you got to mix the shots up. You got to have good body punches. You got to put power into them. I think Conor Benn does that quite well. I think that Teofimo Lopez did not have a single attribute that was going to cause Shakur Stevenson problems. He wasn't too strong for him. He wasn't too quick for him. When someone's that technically gifted, you're going to need something to equalize it. You could argue Conor Benn is going to hit harder than Shakur Stevenson. I think that stands to reason. He does. So maybe, and I'm just, before people think that this is what I think is going to be the reason for why Conor Benn wins the fight, just calm down in the comments before you fucking get on my case. But I'm just trying to go there and think, what are you saying? Because right now, most fighters should be saying, I'm going to stay the fuck away from Shakur Stevenson. But let's take a look at Ryan Garcia as a potential opponent for Conor Benn and figure out which direction he really should go in here. Obviously, we all remember the Devin Haney fight where he rocked Devin Haney's shit constantly throughout that fight. But the fight after that was a million miles away from that performance. I honestly don't know what the fuck was up with Ryan Garcia in this fight. He was tentative. He got dropped in the second round. He's got amazing natural gifts, Ryan Garcia, but his mind is where I worry. His performances just can be so hot and cold. If I'm Conor Benn, I'm looking at that going, on your best day, you're a fucking devastating puncher and I could be in trouble. But on your worst day, I may run you over. I think Ryan Garcia's, his hand speed could be a real problem for Conor Benn. But I also think Conor Benn's aggression, front foot pressure, and just that, and his own power. Ryan Garcia gets hit. It's not like Shakur Stevenson where it's very hard to hit him. Garcia gets hit. He could give Ryan Garcia some serious problems as well. And you can see Ryan's just not at it here. He's just flat as fuck in this fight. Now, Ryan does have a world title fight coming up this month against Barrios. And if he wins that, he's the WBC champion of the world at 147. And this is key here. That's something that Conor Benn has wanted for a long time because his dad was WBC champion. At 147, Shakur Stevenson would be coming up and there is no belt. That he's 140 champion. So that may incentivize him to go Ryan Garcia. And Ryan Garcia has 10 times the star that Shakur Stevenson is. So you'd think that there'd be more money to be made with a Ryan Garcia. You beat Ryan Garcia, the whole fucking world knows your name. You beat Shakur Stevenson, well, the boxing world will respect it. But your star doesn't really get much bigger. And I think that's a real challenge for Shakur Stevenson in the long run because he fights like Floyd Mayweather, but he doesn't talk like Floyd Mayweather. He doesn't make you want to hate him the way Floyd Mayweather did. People were buying pay-per-views just praying Floyd would lose. And if I'm Shakur Stevenson, by the way, I copy Floyd. I stop behaving the same way. It might not be you. Do you want to make money? Because you're not knocking people out. That's not who you are. You might get the odd stoppage, don't get me wrong, but it's not his bread and butter. So you got to give people a reason to watch you. And speaking of getting knocked out, I think we need to think about that. What is worst case scenario? Who's going to beat you worse if you're Conor Benn? If you lose to Ryan Garcia, probably getting knocked out or dropped a whole bunch of times the way Devin Haney did. That's his style, right? Them hands are very, very fast. I would argue that Ryan Garcia is more naturally gifted than most boxers in the world. If he could apply himself, he'd be fucking deadly. Whereas if you fight Shakur Stevenson, he might make you look like you don't know how to box. And for a pro boxer who's trying to tell everyone I'm the next big thing, that's damaging. If you fight Ryan Garcia and you have a war and you're punching him, he's punching you, and it looks entertaining and spectacular, and you get knocked out, say in the 10th round, but you put up a good fight, people are still going to want to watch you. Your stock isn't going to drop that much. People are going to be like, that was a fucking good fight. I'll pay for his next pay-per-view because I know I'm going to get bang for my buck. If you go in there with Shakur Stevenson and it's a shutout and you can barely land a fucking glove on him, which is very, very possible, he takes your aura, he takes your money. It's such a lose-lose because even the fight isn't going to build your stock. Because Conor Benn is known for being a good fighter to watch, and if he has a shocking performance where he looks like he can't land a glove, it's going to be terrible for his career. And look, there's also the possibility that this looks like Ricky Hatton versus Floyd Mayweather, where Ricky Hatton got stopped by Floyd, and even though Floyd didn't have the heaviest of hands, when one fighter's that much more technically gifted than you, and he can walk you onto things, the way that I could see that happening potentially with Shakur and Conor, it could go even worse than a decision. It could be a stoppage. And don't get me wrong, I don't want to offend Conor Benn, because actually I think Conor Benn would do better than Teofimo Lopez. I think he's more mentally strong than Teofimo Lopez. I think he hits harder than Teofimo Lopez. I think his body shots, his shot variation combination, his feints. I think he's a way better style to just give Shakur some problems. And maybe Shakur will have the answer for every single one of them. And people might think this is mental because Teofimo was a really high-level guy, but styles make fights. And Teofimo Lopez was fighting in a way that really wasn't even his own style. Like, he's not a pressure guy like that. But you'd expect Shakur to be able to outbox Conor Benn because it's the experience. You don't end up with a fighting IQ of Shakur Stevenson just because. It's because he's been fighting since he was a child. The kid went all the way to the Olympics. He had an extensive amateur career. Conor Benn doesn't have that amateur pedigree like that. He's learning on the job even now. And he's doing a fucking good job at it. Don't get me wrong. But, at that weight class, it's not like heavyweight where you've got a Fabio Wardley who can go in there and just bash fucking 7 shades of shit out of these other heavyweights, even though they got the amateur pedigree. Power isn't like that at these weight classes. And I think, honestly, Conor Benn would be making a huge mistake if he fought Shakur Stevenson right now. Maybe in the future, I don't know if he'll ever be able to make up that time. But if I was managing Conor Benn, go for a shootout with Ryan Garcia. Because Ryan Garcia is going to give you opportunities. You're going to hit him. You might not even hit Shakur Stevenson. And Ryan's got the belt, potentially, if he wins this fight this month. And I know there'll be people in the comments going, Conor Benn loses both of those fights because of how highly people rate these two. That's possible, obviously. I'm just trying to figure out what the fuck he should do because I don't want to see Conor Benn make a big mistake right now. And I think Shakur Stevenson would be. And I go back to the trash talk about how Shakur Stevenson's a little man.
You're too small for me. You're tiny. You're tiny, bro.
Height-wise and reach-wise, they're probably very similar. And I've actually stood right next to Shakur Stevenson before when I went to a Terence Crawford fight. And there was my mate Joey, who fights on Misfits. He fights at 135 pounds. And Shakur Stevenson, who also had been fighting at 135 pounds. They were stood within a meter away of each other, right? They both fight 135 pounds. They're not built the same. It's a bit like me standing next to Anthony Joshua. Like, we're both similar weight, we're not built the same. Shakur Stevenson is a freak. I've never seen a guy who fights that weight who's got shoulders like that, a tiny waist. Like he's weird, man. I couldn't believe how wide his fucking shoulders were for that weight. It was a joke. And Joey's not a small 135 himself. But I knew immediately when I seen him walking around, I thought you could fight a fucking 154 pounds, you. So I think Conor Benn going in there thinking I'm just going to bully him, I'm going to have the size, I think that'll be a big, big mistake to think that. Because after what I've seen from Shakur Stevenson in that fight, I'm not saying we are looking at the next Floyd Mayweather. I'm saying that we might be. Floyd was special, don't get me wrong, and he might never live up to that. But we could be looking at the next pound for pound king for the next decade. So the Ryan Garcia fight for me is the one. That's a no-brainer in this scenario. As for Shakur, for me, it's a no-brainer as to who he should really be fighting next. Devin fucking Haney. Yeah, these two obviously have known each other a long time. They both have that amateur pedigree and they're both defensive masters in boxing, right? I hate Devin Haney. I know how good he is, right? I'm not an idiot, despite what some people might say. And I've been wanting someone to school Devin Haney for a while because I don't like the way he fights generally. The last fight actually wasn't as bad. He was still bad, but he wasn't as bad. It's the running away. It does my head in. And in order to cancel that out, you need another defensive master. Someone who's even better than Devin Haney defensively, I would argue. Because he doesn't need to run the way Devin does. He just takes tiny little steps and he stays in there and he makes you pay far more often than Devin can. Devin's too busy worrying and trying to get the fuck away from you to be that calm, that comfortable in the storm the way Shakur Stevenson is. He just leans back at the waist and pops you one for it. And that's why people might say, oh, why do you like Shakur Stevenson if you criticize Devin Haney? Because it's about hit and don't get hit. It's not about just don't get hit, which is the Devin Haney school of thought. Yes, the last fight, he did better, but for a minute there. He spent the rest of the fucking fight running away and not capitalizing on a guy who was a sitting duck because he is so fearful in the ring. Whereas Shakur is real boxing for me. That is pure hit and don't get hit. And to watch someone make Devin Haney miss like that and make him pay... I'd love it. I would love it. Shakur's already become, I think, the fastest guy to do the 4 belts, 4 different weight classes. He could do 5 in his next fight. The storyline writes itself. They've known each other since kids. They've both got that amateur pedigree. It's very hard to find fighters who have that elite level decades in this sport in order to compete with these kind of guys. So that is the fight that I want to see for Shakur Stevenson. And honestly, I think he stops Devin Haney because Devin Haney is not built to get hit a lot. And Shakur Stevenson, even though he doesn't hit hard, he will hit Devin Haney more than anyone's ever hit him before in his fucking whole life. But let me know what you lot think. I think this is a really exciting time in boxing right now. That 147 division is getting better and better. Teofimo Lopez is also moving up to 147 apparently. I can't wait to see how this pans out. I can't wait to see Big Baby Miller. Does he leave the hairpiece on? Does he shave it off? We'll find out. Let us know what you thought in the comments below. Hit the like button, subscribe to The Pain Game, and I'll see you on the next one.